Bonjour, bienvenue à la Tour de France spéciale. Romain Bardet, Thibaut, Pinot, Pritchard, Verong. They're the only ones I know really. Oh, Jacques Anquetil. They're the only French riders I know. And I am not putting this accent on for the rest of this Tour de France special. Right, but before we get into that, let's take a look at the other stories making the headlines today on CPCN. First up, a video of the day. And the video I want to promote today is a great little video on Tim Searle. If you don't know who Tim Searle is, he is the most insane man ever, I guess. He's one of the, he is the only person to clock up 100,000 kilometers on Zwift. I don't even think I've done 100,000 kilometers in my life, let alone spent all those kilometers on Zwift. But he's also the organizer of the Aussie Day Hump Ride, which is sponsored by Giant, hence why they've made this video. And it's a great little insight into Tim Searle, what he's up to, what he's about, and also you get to see inside his pain cave. And it's cool to see other people's setups, especially when you think of someone like Tim Searle. You think of, you know, he's a massive Zwifter, he's a big part of Zwift, but he's still Zwifting out of his garage, you know, and he's like got fans propped up here, he's got a TV propped up there, and it's just great to see everybody's different setups.
Split up a little bit.
Next up, and I know in the comments yesterday, Dan Lip said I was not to mention this anymore. However, just one more time, Dan, please. Just one more time. If you want to check out the video from who quit the GB Giro yesterday due to injuries and ill fortune, link in the description down below. Go and check it out. Explains exactly why he quit the GB Giro, and that's on his channel. Talking about GB Giro and Lachlan Morton, who's just absolutely ripping the race to shreds. But I will add, guy's a professional rider. Okay, so there is always that. Let's check out the little time lapse on the GB Giro website and just see how quickly he extended his lead and how big it has got. He's currently over 7 hours ahead of his nearest competitor, so we'll keep an eye on that as the week goes on. It looks like as long as he doesn't have any crashes or injuries or anything like that, then he should make it to John O'Groats, well, probably in about 10 minutes or something like that. So talking of crazy people doing crazy things, and it's probably one of the reasons you've not seen him in any Hollywood blockbusters recently, but Jackie Chan has been riding his... Chen. Not Jackie Chan, Jackie Chen. Right. My apologies. Jackie Chen has been riding his bike all the way around the world. He started this journey in 2015, and after 5,000 kilometers he found himself in Canada, where unfortunately he got his bike stolen. The local papers got wind of the story, the police then got involved, and thankfully someone actually found his bike, contacted the police, contacted the paper, and he was on his way again. So he's covered 40,000 kilometers. So he's been on this journey since July 2015. He says he's still got another 3 years to go before he's completed this ride around the world. And look at the map here, you can see exactly where he's traveled to, and that, I thought Lachlan Morton was insane, but that is crazy. What a way to live, imagine that. Also, whilst in America, he teamed up with one of his friends, a guy called Chris Tucker, and they went on a tandem, wait, I'm thinking of Rush Hour. Next up, and Zwift insider Eric Schlang has dropped a blog post all about the new Zwift e-racing regulations and rules. Similar to what I mentioned, he goes into a few details on some of those points, mainly the doping, mainly the trainers that can be used, and gives his thoughts on all that. Again, I think a lot of people are getting confused because these are getting posted on his blog site, on Zwift Races, Zwift Riders, things like that, and people are confusing these rules with the general usage of Zwift. Whatever you read in those rules has no relevance on what happens in the general world of Zwift. Even Zwift races that aren't organised by Zwift, the rules won't apply. Some of the rules will, but the majority of them won't. Things like turbo trainer exclusions, you can use whatever you want. You can use Zwift Power if you want. You won't necessarily be seen in the results of the races on Zwift Power, but you can use it if you don't have a power source. They're not trying to exclude everyone from Zwift entirely and make it elitist. What they're trying to do, I guess, is to have some rules and regulations in place for these bigger e-sport, e-racers like the Nationals, and the KISS Super League and potentially maybe the KISS Community League if it takes off in that area and Zwift start organising that. I don't know. 99% of Zwift won't be affected by these rules and regulations. The racing and the esports will be. Which, if you didn't know as well, Zwift Esports is a completely different company from Zwift. I never knew that. Hopping back to a story that we covered last week and the week before about the Team Healthmate Cycle Live women's cycling team and the accusations that have been put towards their director sportif, Patrick Van Gansen. Another lady has come forward corroborating all the information that everybody else has been saying over the past couple of weeks, and all credit to Esther Meisels for coming forward, because had she not come forward, potentially those other 9 riders may never have come forward themselves and corroborated that information, and Van Gansen could be in that position for a long time, exploiting and manipulating riders and ultimately making their life hell when all they want to do is ride their bikes and become better cyclists. So as I said in last week's video, we'll just keep an eye on the story, we'll see what's going down, and if anything more comes of it, we'll report that to you. So before we head off to my French colleague for the CPCN Tour de France special, let's take a moment for Chris Froome, a man who won't be at the Tour de France. And yesterday, he posted this on Instagram. Anybody have a time machine handy? Backwards arrow emoji, alarm clock emoji. Pre-crash hashtag throwback at Criterium Dauphine. Did anybody else see that? Now, I don't want to start these conspiracies again. I don't want to start these conspiracies again. However, if you zoom into the bottom corner of that picture, there's a timestamp. And it's 2 days after the crash. What? Unbelievable. Welcome to the Tour de France special, 10 days out. And there's some breaking news in the whole Tour de France build-up. La Gazzetta reported today, unofficially announcing the Team Ineos lineup for the 2019 Tour de France. No real surprise on the main 2 riders in Team Ineos, Geraint Thomas and Egan Bernal, and backing those riders up are a team fit for any GC winner. You've got Kwiatkowski in there, Wout Poels, Van Baal, Luke Rowe, Johnny Moscon and Jonathan Castro-Viejo. Staying with Team Ineos now, and if you head over to Wahoo Fitness blog, you'll be able to hear the latest episode of Home Roads podcast from Matt Bardet. Anybody who doesn't know who Matt Bardet is, a TV presenter over here in the UK, looks just like Gary Barlow, slightly jealous of him that he gets all the good jobs. But it's a great little podcast that he's got going. Goes and meets with professional cyclists, gets out on the bikes with them, and actually does the podcast while they're out riding. There's some great insight into the personal lives of Geraint Thomas and Chris Froome. Obviously, this was pre-recorded prior to the Dauphiné. Head over to the Wahoo Fitness blog, give that a listen, and really get an insight into what goes into these riders' lives and what they get up to, not only during their riding, but also away from their riding as well. Next up, and according to the Inner Ring on Twitter, we're going to be seeing those horrendously, disgustingly brown shorts of the AG2 La Mondiale team right up until at least 2023. AG2R La Mondiale extends sponsorship of their team to 2023. The company has sponsored the team since 1997 and grown with the team. Was once a small mutual insurance company, now one of France's largest insurers. But how long will that sponsorship continue without a Tour de France win under their belt? And L'Equipe reported yesterday on their front page that this could be Romain Bardet's and Thibaut Pinot's best chance of winning the Tour de France this year. At Fausto Copy 60 tweeted this out. Front page of today's L'Equipe. This year or never. No pressure at all on Pinot and Bardet. Monkey covering his eyes emoji. Laughing crying emoji. Hashtag TDF. Nothing like putting pressure on their riders to succeed. If you look at the results from 2018, there's only 2 of the top 5 riders taken to the start line in the 2019 Tour de France. Obviously that's Geraint Thomas and Steven Kruijswijk. Did I get away with that? And then in 6th position was Romain Bardet. So you can't help thinking that this is the best opportunity for a French rider in either Bardet or Pinot to actually go and win the Tour de France for France. I don't know. I got a feeling that there's just too much pressure on them. Leave a comment below. Let me know what you think. Do you think the French are just putting far too much pressure on these riders now to win the Tour de France because they haven't had a winner for so long? One rider unsure whether he'll be making it to the start line of the Tour de France this year is Philippe Gilbert. The Deceuninck Quick-Step rider hasn't decided yet as to whether he's going to re-sign with the team. It'll be a shame if we don't see Phil Gilles in the Tour de France this year. He's one rider who loves to animate that race, and it'll be such a loss to the Tour de France. It won't be the biggest loss, come on, let's be honest. It's not going to be the biggest loss in the world, but it'd be nice to see him in there. It's always nice to see the big names in the big races, isn't it? All right, so let me ask you a question. How much of this Tour de France do you actually know about? Chris, we don't know anything. We need an ultimate guide on the Tour de France. Well, funny you should say that. Over on the inner ring, link in the description down below, is the ultimate 2019 Tour de France guide. In it, you're going to be able to find out all about each and every single stage. There's also descriptions below there to tell you exactly what kind of stage it is, but if you know anything about cycling, you'll be able to tell just from the profile what kind of a day it's going to be. There's also information on the jerseys. There's information on the time cuts, the timekeeping, unmissable stages which they believe are going to be the best stages of the Tour de France, the prizes that are up for grabs and how much money everyone can win out of it. Make yourself feel sick just how much money these riders earn while riding the bikes for a living. All right, Chris, great guide and all, but where can I actually watch the Tour de France? Again, another great question. Follow the link down below to the cycling news report on exactly where you can watch the Tour de France, no matter where you are in the world, apart from probably North Korea. Thanks for watching, everybody. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe button, hit the notification bell, leave a comment down below. I love your comments. I want to know everything that you've got to say about the Tour de France. Who do you think is going to win the Tour de France this year? And who's going to be the standout? You know, we've all got our favourites. The bookmakers have got their favourites. But who do you think is going to stand out as a name that we've not even mentioned who could be jumping on that podium come the end of July? Let me know in the comments below. And until next time... So all I need for you guys to do is hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. And make sure you get your daily fix of CPCN at the Tour de France. Vive la Tour!